that we've been working on, but I went and optimized some stuff, added a bunch of things. But first off, I wanted to go through some, well, does anybody have any questions from last time or anything that we've gone over or any of that stuff? Well, I wanted to go through a couple things. I just got an app submitted to the App Store, which felt cool. I wanted to kind of show you guys some of the stuff that you have to do. Trying to put something in the App Store, trying to have a presence in the App Store, maybe, what is this? Answer some questions, solve some rumors here. So this is like, go back. This is iTunes Connect. This is like the hub of wherever you upload an app whenever you want to put an app on the store, for OS X or iOS. You go through this thing, add a new app, fill in a whole bunch of information, blah, blah, blah. If you don't know, if you're doing a paid app, Apple gets 30% of the cut. It's basically 29 cents for every 99 cents that you make. So like right now I'm selling this for $1 or 99 cents, and they have already claimed a lot, which is alright. It's their distribution system, so it's alright, kind of following their rules.
What did they complain about?
No, they haven't complained about anything. I'm just saying I kind of whine about them getting 29 cents of every dollar, but
How many have you sold so far?
Good question. Last I saw was like 40 something.
Really?
Yeah. I think yesterday, their reporting thing isn't live. You only get, I only get yesterday's report of 32. But if I check my database.
3 people in Canada bought it?
Yeah, apparently. What?
So does it cost anything to submit to the App Store?
Well, you have to have a developer account, which is $100 a year. So I've sold 49, at least 49, which is pretty good.
Good job.
Dollar a piece, that's one day. It's been in there for a
You
day.
get, what, 31 cents?
I get 70 cents.
70 cents?
Yeah. However much that is.
Is there some tax statements too?
Yep. It's 1099 tax forms. So I'll pay taxes in I don't know if I'm signed up to do quarterly taxes or if I have to wait till April to do this, but basically I got to keep track of money I'm making. But they've got a bunch of reporting stuff in here. Where is it? I probably won't see or have anything because this has only been in here like a day. Payments and financial reports.
You probably make like $20 in a day if you take out taxes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so the way I justify it is like it's $100 a year to be able to put apps in there. But if you can sell like rinky-dink apps and sell 100 of them, well, maybe 130, 140 a year, that covers your developer fee. I mean, selling 140 apps in a year, I mean, that's one every other day. That's like nothing. So that to me, I've had my account for a year, so I'm $100 in already. But still, I mean, if you can actually come out even or make a little more, then it's like whatever. It covers it. So is there nothing? Yeah, it's only a day. Oh well. You have to rake in that cash sometime.
How do they pay you out? Do they pay you out like a...
Go straight into your bank account.
Oh, okay.
I think it's.
So like right now you have $20 in your account?
Let's see. Let's see if I've gotten paid yet. I probably shouldn't do that on the screen share. I'll be entering my. Well, I'll follow up on that later. Yeah. Actually, here we go. I got it on my phone. This way I won't feel like I'm gonna get robbed. I'm not about to put my bank stuff in front of a bunch of computer scientists. That's suicide. Suicide. I think they pay you, I think it's weekly or something. I don't think, like, as soon as you sell one, it goes straight into your account. So I doubt I have any statement.
Right.
let that log in.
Are you trying to set up the camera up?
What's that?
Start the camera? Were you going to set it up?
I'm doing a screen capture. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't do it last week. I completely forgot. So, I mean, it's kind of simple. There's a bunch of weird stuff that you have to do. You have to go through. I'm going to show you this developer portal. Cool. So this provisioning portal, and I included a link in the workshop thing. Day 3. This guy, putting apps on real devices. This will kind of walk you through how to start doing some of this stuff. There's a lot of steps to actually getting your app to run on something, especially the very first time. You've got to have app IDs for each of your apps. You have provisioning profiles. So these are for your development profiles to be able to put whatever you're working on your device. Then you've got distribution profiles, which you can have an ad hoc distribution, which is something like you can distribute an app up to 100 people, and that's just like to beta test. I was going to talk about it another day, some beta testing services when we go into some frameworks and stuff like that. But basically, you can distribute your app to 100 people and just have them test it out for free. And I think it's good for about 3 months before they have to get another key. It's all key systems, so if you're into network security stuff, there's a bunch of encryption stuff going on here, but it's pretty high level. And then something like this. This is my key or certificate for the App Store. So I have a development certificate, I have an ad hoc certificate, and I have an App Store certificate for this one app. It's a big mess. And then these things, this walks you through how to actually use all of these different profiles. But you don't need to worry about that unless if you've got a developer account and you want to start messing with this, follow this link that I put up there, and this will at least get you started on being able to set up your computer to run it on a phone. What else about the App Store? Is there anything funky? Oh, and the other really weird thing, really weird. So you're on this website and you make an app. Where is it? Back here. You're adding an app. Your name, your SKU number, bunch of random stuff. You then have to download another program that is it's like an uploader program. So you can't actually like upload directly to the website. You got to go through this uploading thing, which checks your code, compacts it, and then ships it off to Apple. And then you sit forever, and you've got like a little yellow circle that says waiting for review. And I think the first time I did this, it took about 4 or 5 days before they rejected it for some terms of service reason. And then it took another like 8 days, I think, after that. And I sat in review for 3 days while they tested it. And it's kind of fun too because I have my database set up and I was sitting watching my database, like Apple like putting in records and stuff, and I knew they were playing with it. I knew it was like almost ready. But I don't even think it's a person. I think it's an automated thing because like I've got a part of my app where I set up Facebook and they didn't even check that. I mean, there could have been some huge bug in that. They didn't check it. So their whole process is kind of finicky. And I'm sure you've heard stories about people getting in hacky things. There's like a flashlight app that what'd it do?
It's a Wi-Fi hotspot, right?
That was it. Yeah. So you could tether. And that was completely against their terms of service. But they passed it because they're just like, oh, flashlight, cool, done. Oops. No, don't do this. So if you got this project open, I'm going to kind of walk through this. And if this is hard, we can kind of just answer questions, maybe work on individual stuff, or tell me your ideas or your problems, and we can try and fix it. But the basic thing that I wanted to walk through, let me look at what I've got here. Get this recorder out of the way. So I created this idea collection class, which before we had these idea objects and we were just saving them in an array. And now instead of doing that, I'm going to have this idea collection class that, if you guys are familiar with MVC at all, this is just explicit uses of having a model. So we've got our barebone model is this idea, but then our model collections, we would just store it in an array, but we want to have a little bit extra functionality. In this case, being able to save it and retrieve it from the actual device itself. The stuff I'm doing here, are the line numbers the same? I hope they are. 41. Yeah. So line 41 to the end, this save and read function, this is really hacky, and I would not recommend doing this. This is a user defaults, is basically a sandbox of memory, of hard disk memory that you've got for your app that you can just save keyed objects in. So all I'm doing in this save is I'm saving the array of all of our idea objects. In our read, I am getting the, where is it? Well, it's this whole mess, array of objects. And there's a bunch of turning it into raw data and then saving it and decoding it from raw data, but don't need to worry about that. Basically, you don't ever want to save it to user defaults. It's just really simple and easy to do. The reason is because you can use up this space really quick. It's not recoverable. You can lose it. There's a framework called Core Data that's part of the Apple SDK that you want to use if you want to do onboard data storage. It uses like a SQLite. If you're familiar with SQL at all, it's pretty similar. It's a SQLite database basically. It's queryable. You can save whatever you want. I don't know how big or how much memory you can save, but it's pretty big. I haven't messed with it too much because it's weird. It's different. I like saving everything offline or in the cloud, as everybody likes to sensationalize it, just because then it's transferable between different devices, iPhone, iPad. You can have a web app, you can have an Android app, blah, blah, blah. But to each his own. The nice thing about this is it's just save, save, retrieve, delete, whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't have to sit and wait for a web request. And then the other important things here are we're to add items and to remove items from our list. And after we're doing this, we're just saving it again so that whenever we add or remove something, it's always updated in our data store. But we really don't even need to mess with that at all. We're not gonna screw with that thing. So the file we need to first look at, make sure I upload this the way I've got it now. Yeah. So before what we were doing is we were initializing a bunch of idea objects and just putting them in our list. If you run this, I guess I ought to do something on here so the screen record looks like we're doing something. If you run what it is now, you should just get thing that with one item that says I'm an idea. You got an edit button, a plus button. The edit button should work. Yeah. Removes it, and then you're left with nothing. And what happens if you actually put some breakpoints through the code, that idea collection is getting called, where's the commit editing style? Right here. So our idea collection object, we're removing an object at the selected index. So it's actually removing something from our data store. It's saving it. It's updating it. But now we're left with nothing. And we're kind of cheating. We're initializing it. We create all of these objects. We only use this very first one up here because this is all that we're adding. We could replicate this line over and over and over again with idea 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, blah, blah. But that's not really what we want. We want to load with stuff right off of the device. We want to be able to use the app, close the app, start it back up again, and all the stuff is still there. That's the goal. And if we look, again, should be the last thing we got to look at in this idea collection object. in the initialize, we're calling this read, which sets up the array, which looks on its local storage, creates the array of everything that's saved there, saves it, done. So in the master view, we've got idea collection, allocate, init. So we're allocating it to memory, we're initializing it when in that initializing function we are calling the read. So that sets it up. If there's anything there, it's there. If not, well, then we're going to have a big blank list. Oh man, this might get tough without screen, but I wonder if I can do this. If it comes to it, I'll do that. We're going to do some nib stuff, so I might have to mess with that. So first, for starters, let's get rid of adding this item, and let's get rid of all of those items because that's not what we want to do. We want to be adding stuff that we come up with to this list. The screen sharing makes this slow. So we are getting rid of this adding line. Can I edit? Let's be logged in. Come on.
It's the .com thing.
Ah, done. Thank you. I'm so spoiled. I use this. I don't know if anybody uses 1Password. Oh my gosh. I don't know what.
Any passwords anymore.
I don't know what any of my stuff is. Don't save that. Bad idea. So in this file, cool. We're going to get rid of all of this. And we're going to get rid of this. Ow. So if we run this, it should work. We should just get a blank list. Nothing should happen. Run, run, run. Cool. So hopefully everybody's got that. We hit edit. We still get the done button, but there's nothing editable, which makes sense. Now if you notice, if you hit the addition, it goes white. And it's hard to actually notice it because it looks, man. I gotta figure this out. It's hard to notice, but the thing actually animates from the bottom up. And that's what Apple likes to call a modal. If you're used to modals at all, if you've done any web, if you've done any web development, yeah, this will kind of work. If you've done any web development, modals are commonly pop-ups, things that appear out of nowhere. Yeah. So yeah, you kind of see that it comes up, but since it's white and our background of our table view is already white, it's kind of impossible to see. So I created a new object for us, this insert view controller. We got 3 files, a header file, an implementation file, and a nib. And what we're going to mess with now is our nib. It's the insert view controller.xib. So we want to set up a form to create a new idea object. So if we look at our idea object, we've got 4 important things. We've got title, description, updates, rating. And I believe that's string, 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 number. Yep, string, 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 number. So this will be super easy. So on our nib, you can kind of see it. I won't make this mistake again. I'm sorry. And go over in the right, and we're going to drag in 4 text fields. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can customize them however you want. The only thing that I want to make sure we do on the last one that we put in here, we want to touch the Attributes tab, which is up here in the upper right, little point, upside down point thing. And so we get this big list of attributes, and we want to scroll down to find something called Keyboard. That keyboard, touch that, it'll present a drop down, and we're going to hit Number Pad. Usually we would have some sort of validation here where the user can copy, because if we do this, the user can copy and paste into this field. They can do all sorts of stuff. We want to be able to catch on the backside that whatever they put into this field is a number. But in this case, we're going to be, kind of low or kind of lame and just present a number text field. All right, I'm just going to kind of style this a little cleaner. And probably be a good idea to put in some placeholders too. That's also in the Attributes tab, right under Text. I always like using that because then you save UI space instead of having labels for everything. So we'll do our first one as our title, our description, updates, and rating. And the last thing we want to do is we want a button at the bottom. So scroll through our objects list, you're going to look for round rect bottom. And put that in here, and you make it huge so it's easy to hit. You double click it and give it a name. I'm just going to call it save because we want to save the new object. And I'm also going to touch the view behind it, and just so that we can see that animation and it looks cool. I'm going to give this a different background color. This is also in the attributes thing. If you want to ever take time, go through the attributes and play with a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of different things that you can do. I'm going to go ahead and make this. Yeah, that looks cool. Some stripes. Neat. And at this point, nothing's going to happen. It's just that we're going to get the big view. Doesn't scroll, doesn't do anything. If we touch these, we'll get a keyboard that we can't get rid of. Blah, blah, blah. So let's add all of these to our object, or our owner for this file. It's a mess. If you remember how to do this, we want the nib on the left, and we want the header file on the right. And in case it's not over on the right, hold Option and click on Insert View Controller. We'll get it over here. And then to create objects in our header file, you hold Control, just pull this stuff over. That's title, text field, description, text field, updates, text field, rating, text field. We don't need to do it for our button. We did this first day. It's a double click on it, and we want to find touch up inside right here and drag that over here. So we're going to make a function what happens when you touch on the inside. So I'm just going to call this on save. There we go. So I'm going to switch this over so that you can get an idea of what this should look like. That'll be hard. Should have 4 properties and 1 IB action. I'll just get rid of this double screen. If that's not legible at all. For text fields, one method. If the background color looks any better. Go ahead and run it again just to make sure this is working. Shut phone. Still works. Still doesn't do anything, but it still works.
What'd you do to set up the button again on this thing?
The button, if we're on the nib, we're in our little split view.
Right, I got that. IB action.
Yep. Double. Oh, you have the IB action in there?
I think I set that up.
Okay.
How did I set that up? Oh, I'll come show you. Alright. Yeah, you got it there. I just took my hands over. Here, I'll touch up inside. Alright. Drag that over. So that's call that on save.
On save, yeah. I always like the functions to have like an event sort of name. That's just me being picky. Here we go. What should we do next? I'm going to transfer this code over to this so it's legible really quick. Alright, so we want to be in our insert view controller. So I'm not going to add everything that just got added in. The one thing that I'm going to put in here should have at the bottom IB action on save ID sender. That's a nice text editor. I've never used that. So first thing we want to do, I've already set up our delegate method to get rid of our keyboard. That's this text field should return. And the only problem if you run the simulator, our text field's not going away. Or sorry, our keyboard isn't going away. But that's because none of our text fields have delegates assigned. So they just kind of hang there. So let's go into our view did load here, and we're going to set up the delegates. So we should have self title text field dot delegate equals self, and then we're going to do that for all 4 text fields. Do that real quick on here so I make sure I'm doing this right. So if you've got those 4 in there and we run it again, this should make our keyboard dismiss when we save it, or when we hit return. Also in that, so if we're in our nib and we're in the attribute stuff, you can change, cool, goes away. You can change the return key, you know, the bottom right key of the iPhone. You can change that to done, go, search, next. And what I like to do is I like to change that to next, and then whenever you, like if I'm on title, I would hit next, and it would go to description, and I would hit next, it would go to updates, blah, blah, blah. Does this have a return key? It does not. Let's just change that back. Change on the rating, or in the insert view controller nib, go to the rating text field, the one at the bottom, and let's change that keyboard type back to default, because that does not have a return key. Just so we don't have to mess with that. And the final thing we'll do in our on save, yeah. So in our on save at the very bottom, we're going to call a function to get rid of this view controller. And it's simple self dismiss, and it should start to pop up the autofill. It's dismiss modal view controller animated, and you want to do yes. Super verbose. I hate how long that function name is, but that's common. So then what should happen is if you run your simulator, hit the plus sign, comes up, you can bop around some text fields, you hit return, the keyboard goes away, you hit the save button, the whole thing should go away. I'm just going to show this again. Come on. So hit the plus sign. Maybe. That was weird. Comes up, text field, keyboard goes away, hit save, that's gone. Cool. So now what we want to do is we want to take whatever we put into those text fields, create a new idea object, save it, refresh the table. Those are our final steps so that we can have a plus button, and then fill in whatever we want, close it, goes away. And then we already have the functionality to delete stuff, so then we have a fully read, write, and delete deletable table. Last thing, another common standard is CRUD, which is create, read, update, delete. And so the only thing we have missing from that is update, which we'll do eventually. So let's see. The next step, we need to make sure that this insert view controller has the same idea collection that our whole app has, because when we save here, we want to add the object to the idea collection. So no dry erase markers. Use this projector again. This is one of my favorite apps in the world. If you have an iPad and you want to play with this, it's called Paper. It's free. It's awesome. It's gorgeous. So we have our main controller here. Let's give this a big M for main. And we have our insert controller here. This is going to get displayed. What we want to have happen is this guy has, I'm going to call it IC for idea collection. This is our list, our array that we talked about of all of our ideas. We want to make sure that our new controller that we're displaying shares the same idea collection. If that kind of makes sense. Because we want whatever we're adding and removing and saving between views, it needs to be with the same data store. So what we want to do man, it's just too much running around for me. In our, how do I save? In our insert view controller here, in the header file, we're going to add a property. Oh. There we go. We're adding a strong property. Idea collection. Idea collection. And that should throw an error because we have not imported idea collection. Sure I have this right. And we should have 4 properties in this already, just so you know what's going on here. All right, that works. So then, after we've got this in here, we're going back to the implementation file for the insert view controller, and we need to synthesize that guy. Adding properties and synthesizing will become second nature after you do this for a little bit. Basically, make it look like that. Synthesize idea collection equals underscore idea collection. So this sets our public and private variables. Creates our getters and setters. Make sure I do this here. And there should already be a bunch of synthesizing stuff in there. Okay, so now that we've synthesized, we've added our property, all we need to do now, there's two things left to do. We need to pass that idea collection from the master controller to our insert view controller, and then on our save, we need to create an idea object and add it to the collection. So for the first and simple thing, we'll go to the master controller.m implementation file, and we are looking for where we add the segue. That's all deleted. I just didn't commit it. It should be at the very bottom. Yeah. So we get the object that we selected. No. Sorry, I'm wrong. We're looking for insert new object. Should be line 70. Well, we deleted stuff, but I've got line 71. You can just search for insert new object. Yeah. Colors got all screwed up. So this is where we instantiate our new view, and then just like with the other one, we dismiss our modal view controller, we're presenting a modal view controller. It's the exact same way to present it and dismiss it. The only weird thing is, and this is a little backwards, and I usually write this differently, is we've got our master view controller is the one presenting, but then we've got our modal, which dismisses itself. You'd think that the master is in control of what's shown and what's removed, but instead it says what's shown, and then the guy that is shown determines when it's supposed to go away. And I think, in my head, that's wrong. That's wrong architecture. But that's the way they set it up. What I usually do is, just like our text fields have delegates, I make the master controller the delegate of the modal controller. And whenever the modal controller wants to go away, it sends a message to the master, and then the master says, all right, cool, I'll get rid of you. But that's for another day. So the only thing we should need to set is the idea collection. And it should just be, make sure I got this right. Cool. So we've already instantiated our view. We're doing view dot idea collection equals self dot idea collection. Really simple. We're just linking it, saying this is this. So we are done with that file. So now the last thing we need to do is create a new idea object when we save it, and then actually save it. So we'll open, insert view controller.m, the implementation file. And in our on save, I have to do it on here to make sure. So spoiled by autocomplete. All right. So up here, we're going to do, this is gonna be really long. Idea, so class idea object, it's a pointer, equals idea allocate, or alloc. Let's put another open bracket here, and we are doing init with title. It should pop up with a whole bunch of crap to fill in. So our title is just our self dot title text field dot text, and then you're just gonna keep on going. And you can use tab to jump through the little autocomplete things. I don't have that, so I have to type it all. Description self dot description text field dot text with updates. Text field dot text with rating self dot rating text field dot text. Okay. So then after we've got that, all we need to do is add it to the collection. And the collection takes care of saving and everything once we add it. So self idea collection add, make sure this is right, idea collection add, and we're just doing add idea. And that should be it. go ahead and run it. Oh, well, this probably won't work. We'll try it. So if we hit the add button, fill in a title, description, updates, and rating, save 5. We save it. Looks like it's saved. So now the last thing we really have yet to do is to refresh the table. And this is where I get into the whole, oop, I'm just gonna die. I'll plug this in. This is where I got into the whole delegates and the controller being in control of showing and hiding views. Because now we're faced with the task of how do we refresh the table? Because the modal view, the view that we are inserting stuff, doesn't have any relation to the view that showed it. You know, there's no way for it to say, I'm disappearing, refresh the table. There's no way for it to grab the table and refresh it. So it's stuck. So how do we refresh it? And there's a couple different ways. I'm trying to think what would be the best one here. See if we close the simulator and run it again if we have our new object. Sometimes the simulator will save stuff and sometimes it won't. Yeah, saved it. So if you add something and you save it and you restart the simulator, it should be there. We'll just put it in. We're going to go back to our master view controller implementation file. And right under this view did load, get rid of this junk, this is gone. Right under view did load, right before view did unload, we're going to get another method that this class inherits that is just not filled in. It starts with, it's a return type void. We're going to type in view will appear. Let's see. Can't remember if there's an animated or not. Yeah, it should look like this. View will appear animated. So this is basic. This gets called whenever the view is going to show up, and then if it's going to be animated or not. Just a Boolean. So the first thing we got to do is call the parent view will appear. It's going to be something like that. So it's whatever the parent class is, make sure you call it, because there's this chain, this hierarchy of subclassing that you want to make sure everything does what it's supposed to do when you're overriding some stuff. You will appear animated. And all we should have to do is self table view, sure that's right, reload data. And that's just table view lingo for refresh. So let's try that again.
My autocomplete said fill in animated in super instead of animated. I don't know, I just thought it might be an error.
Oh yeah. Left off the D. Yeah, it should be the same bool that you're passing. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and add something else. iOS description. Cool. So I'm going to put this back on the projector just in case anybody's having trouble. See what this should be doing.
Could you push your mix on?
Up to get?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm missing something. So I thought it was just
Yeah. Let me show this real quick, then I'll push this up. So bad. All right. But basically, all this is going to do, we add something, comes up. I'm a title. Lengthy description. No updates. And then our rating, we can't see it. It's not very smart, but we'll just give it a 5. We save. Now we've got 3 items here. And we've got all this built in that we can view details now too. And we can look at it. So, shoot, plug it back in. So I'll push that up really quick. But hopefully this is starting to feel like a working thing, working app. I mean, this, in essence, aside from being able to update, this is a to-do list. That's every single to-do list out there, aside from people spending zillions of hours in Photoshop and making it look unique and cool. This is all that it is. It's a data store. You have objects. You have creating, reading, updating, deleting. And let me... Workshop. That was dumb. I saved all the changes on Git, and now I have to fix them. 1 second. Okay. So now should have merge stuff in workshop files. All right. So basically everything that we did, I just pushed up. Usually I have the beginning and end files, but this time it's just going to be today's files. No, that's fine. That's fine. It doesn't actually benefit to have the beginning and end files, but yeah, the nib is up there. Yeah, this is, if you've ever looked at this, that nib that we're looking at and we're dragging stuff around, this is all that file actually is. Basically it looks like XML. Just a big list of stuff and properties. Actually, it is XML. So that's about it for today. Sorry for the technical difficulties. if you guys have any questions or comments, concerns, or need help on anything, I'm going to hang around for a little bit, just like usual. And hopefully you guys are enjoying this and starting to make something neat. And I think the idea for next week is I'm going to make some assets and some graphics, and we're going to start tweaking with the UI. And instead of this default Apple app UI, we're going to start playing with some headers and some images. We'll get into some of the details about we've got 4 classes of devices now with the new iPad. We've got a high-res iPad, low-res iPad, high-res iPhone, low-res iPhone. So we've got 4 different resolutions to cover. That's if we want to make a universal app. If we want to make just an iPhone app, we've got 2 resolutions to cover. But then when it also comes to our icons, we've got 4 resolutions. I've actually got a shell script that I wrote that converts all your files from one file because it gets out of hand. Where's this? Thought I had one. This. Yeah, if you want to browse through my GitHub, this is a little script for making icons. But you basically have to make icons with all of these names, which is a huge pain. Like I showed you in that iTunes Connect. See, I'm still logged in here. This image right here, yeah, it's up here. This image right here is a 1024 by 1024 image. No, sorry, that one's the 1024 by 1024. Because now, if you actually go into iTunes, this is the 1024 one. If you're on iTunes on your iPhone, you've got a little image for that. That's, I think, a 50 pixel image. And then you need a 100 pixel image for the Retina. There's just a whole bunch of stuff. Now, obviously, you have your home screen icons and all that junk. Those are just little things. Not really important to worry about. But cool. Thank you guys for coming again. Same time next week. And if you've got any feedback or anything, email, Twitter, whatever, let me know. Thanks, guys.